let's look at lesson 3.3. The title of lesson 3.3 is Rates of Change and Slope. And let's start with the definition for rate of change. Rate of change, well, remember, rate is a ratio. So in our definition, we're going to think ratio. A ratio that describes, on average, how much one quantity changes with respect to a change in another. All right, so rate of change. So let's look at a mathematical formula that will help us calculate rate of change. Rate of change, the definition, again, speaks of a ratio. So when we think about ratio, we should be thinking about fraction. And remember, we've been looking a lot about how we use symbols in math to say things. So we have a symbol in math that says change in, and it's the Greek letter delta. So this triangle represents the idea of change in. So for rate of change, we're going to have a ratio for the change in our dependent variable divided by, there's that delta again, the change in our independent variable. So that's a formula, if you will, to calculate rate of change. And rate of change is most typically used to think about data, real world data. So I'm going to talk about an independent variable and a dependent variable, and I'm feeling kind of hungry. Let's talk about buying some cookies. So my independent variable is going to be the number of cookies I might buy. Okay, so I'm at a store and I'm buying some cookies, and what's going to be my dependent variable? Well, that's how much money I'm going to have to spend. Okay, so I could buy one cookie, I could buy two cookies, or three, and here are some data points to represent how much money I'm going to have to spend. Fantastic. Okay, so now you're asked to figure out the rate of change to represent this data. Remember, it's a ratio. I'm going to divide the change in my y values divided by the change in my x values. So let's start by looking at that. How are my y values changing? So if I look at from here to here, what's going on? Well, $2.50, if I subtract $1.25, I get 1.25. So it went up by 1.25. Oh, well, $3.75 minus $2.50, once again, I get 1.25. So my change in y is, I'm going to use my unit of measurement. In rate of change, it's important to include your unit of measurement. It's $1.25. Okay, and then let's look over here at our independent variable, our x value. It's just going up by 1 and then up by 1. So 3 minus 2, well, that's going to give us that 1. 1 minus 2, this one right here. 2 minus 1 is 1. So over here, our change in our independent variable is 1. And remember, for rate of change, it's important to include your unit of measurement. And what is that? That's 1 cookie. So our rate of change for this real world data is $1.25 per cookie.